I see people, if you want to give an example, as all the same. And they're all just different telephone poles with names on it. Because you all got the same problems. You get different variations depending upon what lifestyle you choose in your hypnotic state. The hypnotic state can produce every kind of different combination of illnesses, depending upon whether you drink, depending upon if you eat too much. So you get different inputs. You got different behaviors. You got different addictions. And so all these different things combine to make 150,000 different variations of sickness, beginning with food.
Are you looking at me?
Oh, I could be.
Well, I have to admit I'm a couple pounds overweight.
You're fat.
I have no problem with that. But
I still love
what
it.
I
still
saw
love it.
some this last while. I've been kind of backsliding.
What's
and,
the point of that?
Well, I don't know. But what I'm seeing now, my wife, she's home. She's not feeling well. She's been having her blood pressure can be normal, and then she gets up, walk across the room, and it's up to well over 100 over 99, or it was even higher than that. I took her to the hospital. But the point of me saying that is because I've been fat, and this has been my recurring problem.
You haven't got diabetes yet.
No, and I have good blood pressure. It hasn't gotten me as yet, but
may I suggest before you go on?
Yes,
you are progressing in the meditation.
I have been, but this last while I've gone backwards.
Why would you want to do that when you're going
forward? I just did. I just couldn't.
But
click
are
in.
you disturbed about your wife?
I'm calm about it. I see what's happening, but what I was going to say that I just recently saw my wife for you're a newlywed. She's a thin person. I'm a person who loved to eat, was raised that way, and all of that, and then all the things I loved. Well, she wants to please you, being a new wife and all that. And then so she ends up cooking that way, and now I see that it's got her. That my addiction to that and her eating that way over time has got her.
So she joined in with your perversion.
Well, that's what she cooked, and that's what she ate. She didn't eat. She stayed thin.
She doesn't eat her own food.
Right.
She eats less of it, or whatever.
Less of it.
She's more distant.
Yeah.
But maybe she's beginning to be resentful. Maybe she's doing this out of guilt. Is she angry?
At me? Well, occasionally. I mean, not on that subject, I don't believe.
Yes, but what is making her go into the? What did you describe her condition?
Erratic blood pressure, up and down.
Well, blood pressure.
Up and down.
Blood pressure is rarely the illness. Blood pressure can be an illness, but rare. Blood pressure is telling you something, that something's wrong.
Mm-hmm. Well, they want her to go see a cardiologist, and I was going to...
Well, it couldn't cost it. I guess you have insurance.
Yeah, Medicare.
Yeah. So it doesn't cost you anything to have a look.
Right.
But the doctor doesn't understand any of the problems.
I know.
Doctors really do not understand what causes illness. That's what I've learned, of course, in the journey I've taken. I mean, they take pieces from you, and that's a cure. But I don't see taking a piece from you as a cure. You need to understand why the piece is infected of you. But then you need intuition. And then you need the intuition needs to lead to faith. Now you've got to be careful of the word faith, because there's lots of people in big churches. The Lord will do this, the Lord will do that, and you have to have faith, and you don't want to go to the doctor and you're dying. Oops, we don't talk about that one. See? No, there has to be real. You have to really understand that of yourself you can do nothing, and that you cannot fix what you broke, or you cannot fix what other people broke in you. And it always is that way. It begins when you come into the world. You come into the world as with an intuitive self. Not like Adam. He lost that. Mm-hmm. And therefore passed the state of mind of a man to look to a woman for support. But he doesn't understand that what the woman needs is to have him say, put the fruit down. See? That's all they want. I'm talking about even the bad women, the angry women, these bitches. Don't be rude, excuse me. But it's built in. Eve is built in. In other words, let me just go to bibliography. I can't find the word. Bibliography.
Biography?
No, bibliography. Bibliography. That's it. You got it. We just made that one up. That works. See, we need to understand an origin. And when you listen to what I'm about to say, which I think I've said before, is that in the beginning there was two people. Unlike whatever people there were out there. It doesn't say that these were the first human beings. There were other kind of human beings or differently evolved, like monkeys, but Neanderthal. They were people. They could talk. And there was an evolutionary thing, like monkeys. But they died out. But the protege of Adam and Eve entangled with them, and so you've got a mixture of those people in this world. You can't tell one from the other. Mm-hmm. You understand that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but God created a new kind of human being. I guess the rest of it is temptation, where the temptation comes from, and is sustained from those kinds of people out there that have the nature of them, but they look like us. And so these people are easily motivatable. I'm coming very carefully to a subject here. But in the Bible, which is absolutely accurate, I've never seen anything. It's a history, and then there's, of course, with Jesus, it's history, but then it becomes a mystery. The revelation, the redemption of what came from Adam, because Adam was created out of the ground, mud. I have to tell a little story. The devil and God were having a chat, and the devil says to Adam, he says, I can make a human being like you can. He said, okay, let me see you try. So Satan bends down, picks up the dirt. He says, you have to make that first. See? And so God can make everything. Your Creator is the only word I have for it is magic. I like magic because when I do my tricks, I'm very good at it.
Watch that ego.
Yeah, very good at it. You go crazy.
Yeah.
Because it's like real magic, and it has an effect on people. They seem to like that. Wow. See, how did you do that? It's the same thing as how, God, did you do this to make the universe? Where did all this come from? In the beginning there was a void and darkness. And so how can a void make anything when it isn't anything? Something's unusual, but we won't go into that right now. What I'm saying is, he created in some way, never understand it. I don't understand sperm and what's the other one?
Egg.
Yeah, there's another word for it. Ovum, yes. There's millions of them. They have no consciousness. But there's magic. You put them together and you can't stop the growing of another person. But in the beginning, and we're not talking about physics now, we're talking about, virtues. He created a man in his image, directly. And then he had a constitution called intuition, which means he is the extension of the Creator. But in order for love to exist, God couldn't create love. There's one thing God can't create. He can't create loyalty, because that makes him an animal without any choice. He wants children. He wants children. He needs children. He wants it. This is what he wants. He created a whole universe, but he wants children. This is the Emerald Isle. It is. You can't find one in the whole universe. Go look for it. You'll die trying. You'll die getting there. Even if there is one, it doesn't make any difference. So he gives them a choice, which he knows he's going to lose. He took a piece out of Adam, and then cloned. Nothing wrong with that word clone. Nothing. We can clone. So can he. More so. And so the woman was the extension of the man. But the man was boss. And God is the boss of the man. That's divine order. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. So he says to Adam, the first man, and there's historic evidence of that, but I'm going to try to make you see that there's a way that things happen. God wants children, like my son, my sons, my daughter. I have children, but I can't have them. I have to free them to suffer, and then eventually volunteer repentantly to come back to Dad. I have kids that have all kinds of problems, but I leave them alone. And if they need help, I help. I give them wisdom, see. But they may not need me for a long, long time and leave me alone to make my wife and myself. But I wait until they come. They have to become because they want to. But I have to be the kind of father that the Heavenly Father is. I have to have a Heavenly Father in me. What good am I? If I don't have him in me, I've lost him and I can't get him back because I don't have the authority that they need to come back. They're going to recognize it. That's why you have to recognize. You have to become a person if you've got problems with your kids. For instance, I'll come back to this. A lady calls me up. She says, my daughter doesn't want to talk to me. How old are you? I said, I'm 70. But she never wants to talk to me. I try to talk to her. I'd be nice to her, all that kind of stuff. I said, you're not letting you're codependent on your daughter. You want her because you're empty. You're empty yourself. You want to feel, you want to hold on to that kid. And she doesn't want to be a slave. She doesn't want to be your slave. And you're making her a slave in order to feel a sense of worth. And she has to be a slave to provide for that. Or anybody else. Of course, and so the child rebels or conforms. But if you conform, you are a slave of the person you conform to. You can be guilted into conforming to go along, right? You all know that. Or you can run away. And then the mother would run away after that. So what have I done wrong? I haven't been nice enough. When I was a little kid, I had a terrible mother and I had a terrible father. I made up my mind I'm going to be the best mother I should ever be. But she doesn't know what best is. She doesn't know what good is. She wants to feel good. That's the only way you can be good, is to feel it. That's why you take drugs. That's why you have addicted to anything that makes you feel good. But you don't want to keep your kids around to help to let them tell you how wonderful you are, and give them all kinds of stuff to get them to tell them how wonderful you are, and it gives you a lift, and you don't realize that's an addiction. There's an addiction without drugs and possessiveness. And she calls me and says, you possess your daughter, she's running. And she's going to keep on running, and the more you run, the more you think something's wrong, the more guilty you are, the more you try to get her back. Now you're becoming willful. Now she's running faster. Now this is not medicine, but she's going to die trying. She's going to have heart problems. She's going to, you understand this? She's going to lose her memory. And the daughter doesn't want to come back and be around her. And she dies alone. Subtlety. That's a disease. And it goes with cancer, you name it. Because you've got so much stress, which is unnecessary for a human being. Human beings do not run by stress. They do in the beginning, because in the beginning they get corrupted. In the beginning they got separated from an energy field. This is a war of energy. It's a war of energies, not personalities. But the energy that I'm referring to is what I have. But it's only I have it because he has me. I love my God. I love my Jesus. I'm Jewish. He's Jewish. The world is saved by Judaism, isn't it? Isn't it? Mm-hmm. So it's natural for me to be this way. You get grafted in as Christians. See that? That grafting in is good. You observe Christianity, but they haven't got it yet, and the Jewish people don't have it yet. But they have enough goodness in them to do the best they can until they can find what is the best for them, which is what I teach you here. Or not teach you, but bring you to it. Persuade you. Rather than persuade you to be wicked, I want to persuade you to be good. See? But I can't give you goodness. And so in the beginning of all this, I always like to talk about the beginning. It's just refreshing every time. And I can say it a little bit better as my worldly ways of thinking are disappearing. I'm left with just 800 words of basic English, but I can say it better. There's much more sophisticated words, but I find that Jesus doesn't use sophisticated words. He uses simple language. If you want to have science, then you have to have a science language. But then you will intuitively gather the language of science because it makes sense to have a name for it. See? Right. But not because they push it on you and mechanically manipulate you into yes this, yes that, and you get your exam and then you got your degree. But then you have a whole bunch of words. And it's the same with the Bible. You don't want a whole bunch of words and be able to talk about it as if you had it. And then you get people looking up to you or looking down at you because they know you're phony. And when they look up to you, the phony becomes more of a phony. He's being emboldened. Mm-hmm. See, another addiction. Addictions don't have to be alcohol and drugs. It could be food.
Oh, I know.
Like it too much.
Yeah.
Don't. When you next time you eat, there's a curse on that food. There's a curse that comes with being a mother suckling her child. She gets a good feeling from that. She can get off sexual feeling, get a kind of sexual feeling like men have. But the child's sucking on her breast. Just let me stop for a minute. Indians, American Indians, if they want to have a warrior, if they want to produce a warrior, some of the tribes were gracious. Some of the tribes were vicious. In Germany, the Germans weren't such a bad people. They had bad leaders. The worst one was Hitler. He was able to breed within 15, 16 years killers that enjoyed killing and worshipping the Führer. He had corrupted all of them, and therefore they're loyal to the corrupter. The corrupter loves and punishes for the corrupted, not to be corrupted, not to be sure that you are corrupted perfectly. You can appease a person you're corrupted and tell him what a wonderful person he is because he killed the person as a game. Or you can make him, if he's got any doubt about that, you make him kill somebody. In other words, you're not mean enough. I can't love you until... Now, if you go to my Facebook, you need to go to my Facebook, please, and just see the first video. And I want to just discuss this. What's the name of...
Judge Drudge.
Huh?
Matt Drudge.
Matt Drudge, yes. He's my friend. I keep forgetting his name. It appeared there. And I was saying that there's politics, emotional politics. There's the animal part, emotional politics, and people get caught up with that. And now we're coming to the zombie part, see, of addiction. Addiction to a Führer. Addiction to forces hidden in our political system, the left. There's also a right and the left. You would say Stalin is the left and Hitler is on the right. So we got a left and a right, but they had the same problem.
Right.
It's a different system. With what's the name I just mentioned?
Stalin.
Democrats.
No.
Democrats and what's the word I'm looking for? Marxism. The word Marxism. It's a system. It's a system that takes many, many years because Karl Marx knew that you couldn't overcome America just by attacking it, but only by weakening the virtues of the people. And you start with the women. You put the women on the doorstep, in a manner of speaking. And you infect the universities. You only have to have one person teaching psychology, which is really Marxism, and multiply them. And pretty soon you've got lots of teachers. And you've got lots of students who get their degree, but they don't know that they're Marxists. But they're born in America and have Marxist ideas. This is magical and interesting because the first thing I said in this talk this morning was zombie apocalypse. The children, the young people going to their universities are not allowing free speech. And why is that? Because they're perverts. They're born in America with an underlying aspect of extension from almost extension from Karl Marx. Excuse me, I have every now and then a little Twitter in there. But you see, you multiply the teachers, you change the curriculum, you encourage perversion and sex without marriage. And sex in marriage also can be dangerous if you are lustful and you're only looking for the pleasure. Food, same thing. You are lustful. There's something wrong with you. And that food, it was, the problem with food began, see, I'm coming round back in a circle.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with food was, of all the trees you can freely eat, but not this one. There's a dime on my night table as a dad. My little boy sees it, and something comes to his mind. He's inherited this because he's born of woman. And a man, every child born of woman, be it a female or a male, the female will be Eve, uncorrected, and the extension of a young little boy from that birth is a man that has intuition, like the girl does in her own way, to recognize. She needs to recognize, she has the ability to recognize a man, if there's one. But if you push away, if you destroy the men, like what's been going on, men are just sperm donors, etc., 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 all that propaganda. And so you have, what do they call it when you have divorce? No fault divorce. Yeah. Well, that's what angry women feel. And they have a fight, bang, gone. And before you know it, the men that need to be men to the woman and to the children, to even have the chance for him to see that there's something missing in him that would make him authoritative over her. There has a divine thing. It has to be that man, if you come into the world, You're corrupted by your mother, and you don't know it. You suckle on her, and if she's a stupid woman, she doesn't want to suckle you because she wants to preserve her breasts for other pleasures. You see that? They even want to kill their children. It's called abortion. I mean, and before you know it, you've got 50 million people dead, murdered, but they don't call it murder; they call it abortion. And they don't say it's a real person. All these are lies settled, or these are lies have been settled about what it really is for thousands of years. Even pygmies have it. They marry and stay together. They don't have any education. They're closer to it when we are, even in their wild state. So, coming back to you, making a long story here. You are the extension of a mother that didn't have a husband that had authority. He looked to the woman for a sense of worth because there's something's missing. Not only does she have a pull to cause you to reproduce, but you will have children. In the beginning, the man without intuition thinks he's having love. But before you know it, he's emboldening Eve. And she's beginning to hate him. And when she starts to hate him, she feels guilty because she's human. She's got conflict with being distant from her intuitive self she had. But it's enough intuitive self to make her angry. Why is my husband so weak and love me and put me on a pedestal? I don't like that. Or they do like it. They just want to get revenge. So you just degrade your husband until he's a weakling. But she's trying to make him, what she's trying to do is make this weakling a man. Or she's punishing him because he's not a man. And all these things they don't know. And everybody goes through that. And the country falls apart. Because you can't have a country without virtue. And the origin of virtue lies within the man. The women need a man that has authority. But he hasn't got it because the authority is the woman. Because in the beginning, there was Adam and Eve, and he lost to her. And the dark side in her got into him. And it disconnected him from the constitution of his spirit. I have a constitution of my spirit. I know it by heart, but I can't remember what it is. It's all there at once. There's thousands of variations, but I don't have to think of those thousands of variations of where you deal with things. It's always there when I need it. It's a gift. It's a gift because if I'm going to be a noble husband to my wife, then it has to come from him. It has to come from him. You have to find him. Because unless you find him as a man, you will not have happiness in your marriage. Never. And and the children will be in a multiple state of decay and array. Because father is becoming angry and angrier because she doesn't do as she's told. And she becomes more and more angry for being told what to do with willfulness. And she responds with willfulness. And he goes crazy. And men will die trying. They have heart attacks, blah, blah, black sheep have a new war. Right? This is the misery. You see, I'm trying to get to the root of everything that's wrong. I've been through it, but I've recovered from everything that's wrong. I'm 88 years old, getting on for 90. I shouldn't be here with all those things, should I? I had to take pieces out of me. And they grew back. This has grown back. I don't want to show you, but give you any proof.
Well, I had the operation too, and mine grew back and had to have another one.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, you naughty boy. You got it and you blew it away again.
I'm a growing boy.
But you see, it's essential that men be men. And it's essential to Marxism that they shouldn't be. And then you've lost your country. You got it back to...
Yeah.
It's like you play the politician on the doorstep of your wife or the woman. That's all they need to do. And several generations, you've got apocalypse?
Apocalypse zombies.
Yeah.
That,
What's another word for it? Apocalypse? There's a name for it.
Armageddon.
No, it has one word. Apocalypse. Anyway.
The zombie apocalypse.
The zombie apocalypse. Yes, that's what you've got. So on the left, you have zombies apocalypse. They do not know what they're doing. They hate people who are halfway decent. You see that? But halfway decent is not good enough to overcome them. Because halfway decent can make you all the way indecent. It could make you very vulnerable because you don't know how to stand up to it. But yours truly goes on the radio and says you're all mentally ill, you little buggers. I said, oh, if you could disagree with what I'm talking about, if you can, you call me now. See? And if you're reacting to what I'm saying, it means, yes, you're it. Because you hate the truth. I don't care who you are. Now call me. Argue. No one ever does. No one. They're terrified of the language. That's why Hitler shuts the language down. Get it? Not even a little bit of truth can shine. Not the slightest.
and that's the way it is in this country today.
Now, I'm asking my audience out there to support me, send money. So, because in Facebook, I'm there, and within the last 10 days to a week, 2 weeks, 1,230,000 as of this morning. And it's the weekend and they're driving around. It's going viral. I'm going to add money to it so it goes viral more quickly. I don't have the money for it, but I'm asking people to do this for me to help save your country. I'm on radio. I'm like, now don't get me wrong, I'm like Jesus on radio. I don't have to go over the mountains and go to different places. I've got a loudspeaker, and you can come and get me if you want to, which is unlikely, but because it will create a bigger furor. Is that the right word? Not a furor. What was the right word?
Furor.
Yeah, it sounds like furor.
I know.
I said, right. It's so close together. But you see, the truth spoken with authority is devastating. Because, listen, the zombie apocalypse on the left are all intellectual idiots. That's all they are. They have mental illness to want to take my right to speak away. They don't want me to speak at their colleges. They used to, many years ago, but they're not now. Because a spoken word with authority, with a different kind of energy is unbeatable. Cannot beat it. Because if you, the very fact of a person listening to my program and me saying, did you get upset with what I just said? I'm telling you the absolute truth. Simple. If you're upset, I own you. I go about it that way. Otherwise, I get inside you, your wickedness, and tear you to pieces. Or you can say, why did I get angry with Roy? He didn't do anything wrong. Why was I angry? Then I turn them around, and they're no longer a zombie. But if they don't, you know what happens when you get upset? You keep getting upset and kicking yourself, right? And then you get worse. I multiply the death of that person, I mean that, multiply that death by tenfold. And so there's so many ways he can die. The car can go off a cliff, he can have an accident. I can tell you some stories. I won't, because it sounds like boy. Hundreds that I know, hundreds. There was a time, I remember, that my daughter was doing some business and she was deeply damaged by an unfair person, very unfair. And she took this case and she had to go all the way down to the coast somewhere in America because it was just a cruel thing. But she held her ground. And I picked up the phone and said to this person, you do this to my daughter and you will see what's going to happen to you. He got a scratch on his finger. That's all. And that scratch on the finger, whether they had masticated or what's the word I'm looking for? You may not have the word, but it got worse. And he died from it. And I said, you're going to die. And he did. In other words, you die an early death with great suffering when you're upset with the apocalyptic people. They frighten you. See, they upset you. And they feed on your dying. They feed on it. Whenever you give in, or when you get upset, they produce another one. You become the extension of them. And then you can't go back at them unless you want to be an appeaser and embolden them to hurt you more. And you can't stop that, so the only thing you've got to do is to vent it or keep it piled up inside you. And it becomes all the different diseases. Hunger, food, drugs, alcohol, pain, because you're in conflict with your human. You're losing your humanity. And then you're becoming pleasure-seeking because it tends to distract you. Football games. It can be anything to distract you. TV, all addictive. Not that you couldn't watch TV, don't get me wrong, or watch a football. In England, just to give you an example, and it's still that way, you have a football game, and everybody says, jolly good show. But they don't go crazy and don't burn cars. Those are the apocalypse. Yes.
Can you wait for the mic?
Who's getting the idea now? It's all these words coming to something. Just go to you. I'll have a little fun with you. Go ahead.
So I just wanted to reiterate, because I think this is something that a lot of people are dealing with right now.
Yes.
How to deal with people that are so with the political thing going on, you just can't
I'm not
fathom.
bothered. Why are you bothered?
I don't know. I can't fathom how some people think. I bump into people and like one of my
They're
friends.
not listening to me.
No, I know. I mean, one of my friends was telling me how her sister was on Facebook saying how she was hoping somebody would take out Donald Trump when he goes to Mexico. I think, how do you even come up with that thought? I mean,
Because you hate what you perceive as truth. You cannot help it because it goes against who you are. So therefore a person, the zombie, doesn't like to admit it's a zombie. And it feeds on your failure to deal with it. And it becomes more of a zombie. And then you've got zombies who are not zombies, but create zombies. Politicians, Stalin, Hitler, enjoy the pleasure of all of you them giving you life while you're giving them a sense of worth for being wicked and call it good. And if you go to my website, you'll see why that's the case. Emotion. Politics by emotion. Manipulations by emotion. They want to make you emotional. Do you understand what I'm saying? You can hold on. I keep saying to you, and you can laugh, but your emotions will kill you. Emote, to me, if I could translate it into something that's palatable, it means to move, emote, emotion. And it carries an energy, and it carries a message, like your iPhone sends a message. It has energy and it has information in the energy, right? So just a person standing next to you, looking down your nose at you like this, you know, that kind of thing, that's enough energy. Well, what did I do? Nothing. See? But it means something. It doesn't matter what the words are. And pretty soon you start to react. And you take the extension of that person. And you cannot get your life back. It's over. And struggling only makes it worse. And because you become one of them, you have to create another one of them to get some of the energy back that they took from you. Listen to the wisdom of Jesus about love. One of them. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. But you haven't got the would have. What you've got is the guilt that makes you look for approval. That makes you a slave of it when you get it. And damned if you don't. You get upset. Because you gave yourself and they didn't do anything for you. They took advantage. Oh, you're upset again. You cannot get away with it. Cannot. You're dead. You're just living dead. You're also like that, but not so much. See, you're not that way, but the people in this audience, with an exception of one or two, you're just meat. All you are. You don't know how to deal with those people. I would go to that university and they all come running out. I try to call them and say, tell me, fight me. I know what you don't like what I'm saying, but you can't help hating me. I don't hate you. I own you. You're reacting to me because I don't react to you. So you're just hitting your head against a brick wall. I don't feel you, but you feel me. And you're hating the good. I talk like that to my audience. I understand psychological warfare, but it's not deliberate psychological warfare. It is, I'm a warrior. And that's how I win wars. I'm a general. I know how to win wars, but I'm not really a general. My God, my Creator is my general, and He will give me every moment of my life, no matter how tiny it is, it will always be correct. Become perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. Be still and you will know it. I put them both together. Now I'm telling you, when you do the meditation, especially the magical one, which has no information and doesn't give you any advice. It only leads you to a place somewhere. Jesus is my Father's world has many mansions, something like that, right? My Father had many mansions, okay, for you to be to receive you in the afterlife, whatever that means. But you have to develop character. And you can develop two characters. One, dark, hungry for a sense of worth. That's worthless. The food you eat is necessary. There's a trick connected to that. And the trick is all you have to do is be upset by somebody. All you have to do is just have a little upset. And bingo, food tastes better than it should. Or your mother pushes you to eat, and you feel the pressure, so you don't want to eat. But now you've got to have something to make you feel good, so you become an alcoholic. And they do pretty good. They're so sauced up that they've got so much alcohol in them, they don't think germs can exist there. See? Are you following me? You either are committed or you're committed. Which commitment do you want? It's not difficult. It isn't difficult because you'd shine. There's an energy coming from me. I don't feel it. I know it's there because of the way people react. They have respect for me, great respect, but it isn't for me. It's what's in me. As a husband, same way. As a father, same way. It's not me that is the head of the family. It's God that's ahead of me first. Now I have authority over that. And so that when a woman perceives that is there, she becomes submissive to you in a gracious way, in the same way I'm submissive to my Father in heaven in a gracious way. I obey. She obeys me. The children obeys her. Paradise lost is found.
I have I've had the advantage of knowing you for 40 years or more. And
What the hell are you doing fat?
that's the one thing
My daughter's fat.
I know, but
I can't get her to see it.
I've seen this my whole life. Before I heard you on the radio, in my initial family, everybody was an alcoholic. Everybody. I think I had one aunt that wasn't.
It's all the generations of that.
And then when I heard you the first time, you know who was on before you on KTYM? Dr. Douglas and his daughter Yvonne from Texas.
Yuck.
Del Rio, Texas. And I was searching and I was listening to these stupid programs, and then there you were.
I'm straight to the point.
And cried like a baby.
No, you'll be a good boy.
I'm still crying.
You'll be a good you'll be a good boy. I'm old enough to be a dad. Correct?
I'm 70.
I'm old enough, unless somebody messed with the...
So
I won't say. And it leaks.
Anyhow,
Are you 70?
I am.
So I'm old enough to be your dad.
Yeah, 88.
Yeah. I'm in 89th year. I'm horrified. I've taken all the mirrors down.
The one thing you said about the Neanderthals and all of that, and I saw this when I was young. You meet certain people, like when you're a teenager or whatever, and you walk up to them, and they hate your guts immediately. And I'm just a happy, glowing person.
It's like you're Jewish. It's so bad. It's so bad that Hitler hated virtue. And the Jewish people are very virtuous. They state that the reason why they survived all these years, 6 million murdered. You can't imagine it, with gold taking out their teeth and skin making lampshades. The wickedness, the evil is there. But the zombies, Hitler and his zombies, now they look like normal people, but they hate innocence. They all hate innocence and give pleasure to that created him in the image. It made you in the image of himself, and therefore darkness is on the face of the deep. In other words, he loves you. He loves his creation or recreation, and they're loyal because they think it's heavenly. Hell can look like heaven.
Yeah.
And Adolf Hitler says, you can make, I wish I could remember the exact words, but he sees you can make misery and suffering look like hell. Look like heaven, and the other way around.
May I tell you a Jewish story?
Okay.
Does
it fit?
Well, in a way, about the Neanderthal thing, I make tombstones. I carve tombstones. And I worked in Los Angeles for a Jewish company, and I made the majority of all the Jewish stones in that area, all the Hebrew and all of that. And I couldn't read Hebrew, but when I would get a new order in, I could tell a mistake because of the way the symbols are placed. And but anyhow, the point is, I had listened to you for maybe less than a year, and I was sucking it up like a sponge, and I was asking my boss, who was Jewish, I said, ask him questions about Judaism and all of that, and after time he came up to me and he said, Brian, he says, you're a better Jew than I am. And that was only because of what was there in me at the time.
Yeah, but you said you lost it. If I remember it, you kind of went back on it.
Well, yeah.
But why?
Yeah.
Why? Why
I don't
would
know.
You give up that practice?
Well, ego, greed. I don't know.
It is you. This is part of you. You've allowed yourself to give in to something, and you haven't told me what it was. But you mentioned your wife.
Yes.
And I'm not sure you give me the whole story.
Are
you resenting the fact that you once loved food too much, and then she changed the way she cooked and catered to that?
No.
And what is it?
Well, what do
you think it is?
Well, what I think it is, why she's sick today, as I said, was I believe it's the sum total of her pleasing. I am the authority in my I am the authority in my home.
Say it again.
Okay, she's trying to please me through food, okay? And over time, it's made her sick by eating the food that I desired.
Oh.
I believe that's
But no, but
that's what came to me.
That is a little piece of it. But the fact that you ate it and knew better,
Yeah,
that's all. That's simple.
yeah.
That's simple. You need to go back and say, you know, this is what I did to you. It was wordless. It was just wordless. She just knew she wanted to please you. She wanted to be a good wife.
Yeah, I have a good wife.
Yes,
good
and
woman.
she's been a good wife, but she's not good enough, because she's good in this sense. When you have a little girl, have a bad father or a wicked mother, and the father doesn't protect her from the wicked mother. Mm-hmm. See, same thing. They have a problem and conflict, and they grow up in their little mind and say, I'm not going to be like my mama. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be the best mother I can ever be. Her being mean, mother being mean, right? Mm-hmm. And father not. Likewise, because he lets her mess with her, and doesn't stand in the way and says, you're not going to mess with this child. You deal with me. That's what you should do. See, that's what men to do. And so I'm getting a little hoarse, so I'm going to stop soon. Excuse me. I'll do the rest I can in a few minutes. So bear with me. Voice disappears. So it's a weakness, because she wants to please in order to love. And your weakness is food. Therefore, she fills the gap in that weakness by wanting to help you be happy. But food should not make you happy. It could kill you, see. But more than that, you've unconsciously compelled her to serve you what she shouldn't.
That's what came to me. Yeah.
It's like Paradise Lost. She's still giving you the forbidden food. And the forbidden food, we're all eating forbidden food. It doesn't matter where you are, who you are, you cannot love food. You can like it, but you can't love it. Love it is a perverted loyalty to the dark side of the force, represented by eating the food in a way that takes you away from seeing clearly. It's a pleasure, and pleasures and pain are two horns on the same goat. So why don't you just enjoy and just leave some on your plate? And be sensible. What did I eat for breakfast? Yogurt. What did I eat coming back? A handful of nuts. I'm okay. That's nourishment. It's simple. Keep it simple. Hungry, eat. And I say, oh, that's so good, I have to have some more. And then you have some more and you're worse off. And then now you're addicted to the pleasure of it. Dead.
Yeah. That's how it works.
That's simple. Find the variations of that and you'll see it everywhere. So what do? I live at home. I work. I sit quietly. I have a little swim. I have my family come over once in a while. I have a good argument with my wife. She hasn't got it since for 64 years, and she's suffering from it. But she's very willful. But I'm not willful. I am persistent. And then she says, I love you because you're persistent. I appreciate it, but she says that means it goes back into that forgetful thing. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So 64 years is a test. 64 years, I'm still doing it, and I've got to get home to make sure she gets her medicine.
Yeah.
And I thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Yes, just a quickie.
Okay, just a quickie. At the beginning, you talked about mothers and daughters, but this week I am realizing my mother sucked the life out of me, and then I did it to my daughter.
Say that again, loud.
My mother sucked the life out of me.
Or suck the life out of you, and then
Yes.
you did it to the kids.
And then I turned around and did it to my daughter,
Yes.
unknown to me. But that just came to me this week.
Have a good cry.
I am sorry because I didn't mean to be that.
I know that. All undone now. Undone. Undone. You don't have to be like your mother anymore. Just be true to your true self and your children that love you.
Okay.
Especially your son. Is it your son-in-law?
Well, unfortunately, she found Charles, and he's been wonderful to her, and he has helped her.
Good.
He has helped me also.
Chuck, right?
Yes.
He's a
Yes.
good man. But it took him 40 years to get the last piece. So this is it. There comes a time when there's no need to meditate. No need to see me. Go about your business, and if you want to support me, that's very nice. That would be the right thing to do, but there's no plate being passed around. No obligation. It should be natural. If it isn't natural, it's another dangerous thing for you to give. If I obligate you because I help you because I love it. I also need to be supported, of course. I'm talking to my audience now, way out there, who listen to me on the videos. But I don't like asking for money. But I have to have it. And deep inside, you must know that the reason why you are better is because other people paid it forward. And that's the way it should be. Gracious. Thank you very much. I'll go home and I'll make sure my wife is all right. So you won't see me around. I'm just going to go home. Thank you, Roy. Thanks. Have you seen that fancy car out there?